off with has to do with the release of Brittney Griner. And I know this has been well covered all day, every day. Not every day, but I need y'all kids seriously. And listen, this ain't no victory lap. Actually, in a way, it is a victory lap because I'm glad that Brittney is home. I'm glad that Viktor Bout actually got a chance to go home. But y'all know who was beating the Brittney Griner drum way out in front. Who was saying that shit way out in front? Who was pushing back against the narrative like, oh, she shouldn't have been traveling with weed. That's what she get. Who had to yank motherfuckers up by their collar and remind them that this is a black woman, she deserves our respect, and nobody should fucking be in jail for weed in the first goddamn place. Y'all ain't gotta say it. We all know. We know who was out front for Brittney Griner, and I'm happy as fuck that Brittney Griner is home. And matter of fact, let's take a look at Brittney. You guys have already seen this footage of Brittney on the plane, I think initially to the United Arab Emirates from Russia. Brittney didn't know where she was going. They didn't tell her until she was in the air that she was actually going home. So let's take a look at that footage.
What's your mood?
Happy.
Well, are you ready for long flight?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Ну, вы знаете, куда вы летите?
Do you know where I'm heading to?
No.
No?
No. Вы летите домой.
You fly back home
To the US.
to the US.
Да, конечно.
Okay.
Так что все будет нормально.
Everything will be fine.
Brittney Griner on her way back from Russia, where they made the prisoner exchange, the prisoner swap in the United Arab Emirates. And then Brittney this morning landed at somewhere, Texas, San Antonio. She's there to get a medical evaluation. And I hope she's already been reunited with her family. And of course, her wife, Sherelle. Sherelle has been bring my baby back home. Sherelle has been out there. And listen, Sherelle was at the White House yesterday to participate in the press conference announcing Brittney's release. And Biden spoke, but we're not going to hear from fucking Joe Biden. That's enough out of him. But I do want to hear from Sherelle Griner. Let's take a look. Listen.
Today, my family is whole, but as you all are aware, there's so many other families who are not whole. BG's not here to say this, but I will gladly speak on her behalf and say that BG and I will remain committed to the work of getting every American home, including Paul, whose family is in our hearts today. As we celebrate BG being home, we do understand that there are still people out here who are enduring what I endured the last 9 months of missing tremendously their loved ones. So thank you everybody for your support. And today it's just a happy day for me and my family. So I'm gonna smile right now.
You better smile. You better smile, Sherelle Griner. Congratulations to the Griners for Brittney's arrival, her arrival home. And let me say this just very quickly. Number one, if WNBA players were paid comparable or anywhere near in the same neighborhood as the NBA, as their male counterparts, there would be no reason for extremely gifted athletes such as Brittney Griner, such as a lot of these WNBA players, to go overseas, to go abroad for months at a time, to leave their families for the opportunity to supplement their income in the WNBA offseason. Okay. It is everything to do. That's the whole fucking reason why she was there. I know Russia had charged her with smuggling, trafficking, and fucking, pounds of hash. They said Brittney was a fucking drug mule out this bitch. Okay. Well, guess what? The whole reason why she was there was not to traffic in hashish cartridges, which I still believe that she did not have in her possession. And I have a feeling I'll be validated and vindicated in the weeks to come, because I bet you Brittney will make a statement. But regardless, the whole reason she was over there was to make extra money. And if this system, if the professional athletic system paid women what they deserved, what they are worth, paid women athletes what they are what they are owed, then there would be no reason for Brittney Griner to have gone to a place like Russia to have to play basketball. Okay, there's that. The other part of that is there should be nobody incarcerated any fucking where for cannabis. for no, I don't even care how much cannabis. I don't care if it's keys, pounds, OZs. Nobody should be locked up for marijuana. That's it. Not hash, not anything, regardless of the amount. Okay. And just be clear, even though Russia went extra hard and decided to be extra petty when dealing with Brittney, and of course, it had everything to do with the war in Ukraine, had everything to do with deteriorating diplomatic relations between the United States and Russia, had everything to do with Brittney being a prisoner of opportunity simply because she was there, right? Why? Because the WNBA don't pay fair. But okay, so because she was there, she was a prisoner of opportunity, and Russia ran with that shit, right? But I before I went on the air, I watched the local news. Okay. And NBC4 Washington will have Meet the Press's Chuck Todd. They'll have Chuck Todd on there to preview whatever the fuck he gonna talk about on Sunday. And this motherfucker Chuck Todd had the audacity to say that Brittney Griner's life was in danger in Russia. That as a black woman, as an African American, as an LGBTQ, a member of that community, that her life was in actual danger. And I thought, I almost thought Chuck Todd was joking because he could have easily made those same descriptions about Brittney Griner, even throw in the weed. And guess what? Her life in as much danger here as it is in a place like Russia, as a black woman, as a very visible black woman, as a member of the gay community. Maybe Chuck Todd wasn't aware that there have been dozens of states that have made new laws targeting members of the LGBTQ community, right? The fucking Congress just had to ratify a bill securing gay marriage and interracial marriage, making sure that it's somewhat codified into federal law, making it so that even states that don't have gay marriage on the books has to acknowledge legally gay marriages performed in other states. Like, I'm sorry, you think gay people are safe here? I'm sorry, you think black people are safe here? Huh? Oh, and you think there's not people currently sitting in US jails right now for marijuana? Every single thing said negatively about the Russian jail system can easily be described. You could be describing the US prison system the exact same way. And I really want to thank my comrade Jacqueline Lukman Nation, by any means necessary, on Sputnik Radio. Fuck with Jackie. Jackie choked my chain. Well, not choked my chain. Maybe that don't sound right. Jackie, in a nice way. In a nice way. She went like when or if you look on, what day was that, y'all? Was that Thursday? When Brittany was announced, was the announcement came down, and Jackie broke the news because I had not yet heard the news, and I was so excited, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy that Brittany won't be in the gulag." And Jackie was like, "We got gulags all around this goddamn country, Kim." I said, "You know what, Jackie, you are right." Brittany's situation, to me, the only thing that made her situation that much more precarious is just the distance away from her loved ones that she was. But even people locked up in this country, their loved ones are not always able to come see them for a variety of different reasons. And before I get into the American gulags, like I said, big up Jackie Lukman uh, for pulling my coat a little bit. I appreciate that. But before I get into the American gulags for a second, because I did not have to look far to find stories. I'm talking about 2 fucking days, stories about the conditions happening in US jails. And there have been lots of stories throughout 2022 and previous, because the pandemic was a basically a genocide inside of American jails. But we'll get to that in a moment. But before I go there, I wanted to talk to y'all about Viktor Bout. Okay, so Viktor Bout. Oh man, they dragging Viktor Bout today. The American media is pissed off. The right wing, so angry, so angry at Viktor Bout. And I want to play y'all this clip. It must have been on 2020 or 60 Minutes or some fucking thing. I can't even really tell you what year it was. I'm gonna assume it's got to been within the past decade, because that's how long Viktor Bout was in federal jail. I believe he has served 11 years. How much was they trying to give Big Vic? 25. Woo! They said Victor was out here causing terrorism. I said, who said that? The American government? Is it them? You, homie, you. Peep this clip that has made the rounds today on right-wing media. And y'all, the breathless federal official spokesperson of the US intelligence agency, I can't remember this nigga's FBI, CIA, or what. He about to spend a lot of bullshit, okay? And to the extent the truth or untruthiness of the alleged crimes that Viktor Bout is said to have committed. Every time this nigga talked and laid out something that Viktor Bout did, all I heard was George W. Bush and fucking John Bolton. So keep those two jankros in mind as you listen to this U.S. intelligence officer lay out all the atrocities that Viktor Bout is responsible for. Let's take a look.
Viktor Bout, in my eyes, is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth.
Without a doubt.
Mike Braun, the former chief of operations for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, told us Bout first exploded on the scene in war-torn West Africa in the late 1980s. Elevating bloody conflicts from machetes and single-shot rifles to
AK-47s, not by the thousands, but by the tens of thousands.
So he weaponizes civil war in Africa.
He transformed these young adolescent warriors into insidious, mindless, maniacally driven killing machines that operated with assembly line efficiencies.
Now 43, Bout from the Soviet Republic of Tajikistan is a mystery man who reportedly served in the Soviet Air Force and intelligence service. The U.S. has indicted him on 4 terror-related charges, including conspiracy to kill Americans.
What makes him a threat to the United States?
He is a shadow facilitator. He's arming not only designated terrorist groups, insurgent groups, but he's also arming very powerful drug trafficking cartels around the globe.
Taking advantage of Russian military contacts at the highest levels and the collapse of the Soviet Union, federal prosecutors allege Bout essentially became a one-stop shop, offering an unlimited supply of stockpiled Cold War weapons to bad guys around the world, including Charles Taylor of Liberia, who's now on trial for war crimes. According to the U.S. indictment, Bout had a unique selling point when it came to weapons trafficking. A fleet of cargo airplanes capable of transporting weapons and military equipment anytime, anywhere. More than 60 planes in all, his own private air force.
Those Russian aircraft were built like flying dump trucks. He could move this stuff and drop it with pinpoint accuracy to any desert, to any jungle, to any other remote place in the world, right into the hands of what I refer to as the potpourri of global scum.
That man just sounds salty that Viktor Bout had a fraction of the capability of the U.S. military, right? Who are the biggest arms dealers in the world? I'm sorry, did y'all say Raytheon? Did somebody say Northrop Grumman? Did what's some other niggas? Did somebody say Boeing? Did somebody say BAE Systems? If you think that Viktor Bout, now don't get me wrong, okay? Viktor Bout was out here slanging everything. When I say everything, Vic had everything. What you need. He had it, okay? No doubt, no question about that. But look at where he was arming people in places that had already been destabilized by the West, right? Destabilized by the United States, by Europe, imperialist powers, right? This is some shit. Vic was, serving up the market, what the market could bear. And the market of violence and civil war and instability, political instability, is what the United States, that's the kind of market that the United States and Europe created. So Victor was there, capitalizing like a capitalist, right? I thought America liked capitalism. Apparently not. Not when it's kicking America's ass, right? But listen to all that flowery propaganda. You would think that Viktor Bout by himself, he killed everybody, right? But it's so amazing to me. There is a war criminal running around here right now who is responsible for at least 1 million deaths. There's actually 2 or 3, maybe even 5, 6 war criminals in this country responsible for millions of people's deaths. And they were able to traffic a lot of arms in the process. In fact, they even armed so-called terrorist organizations like Al Qaeda. who might you ask? Let's go through that Bush administration cabinet. Let's start with the president, fucking vice president, secretary of defense, the UN ambassador. I wish I would have pulled that clip from John Bolton when he appeared on CNN and Jake Tapper dumbass sat there and looked stupid after John Bolton admitted to being the architect of numerous coups, lots of coups John Bolton bragged about on American cable news networks, bragged about creating coups. But Viktor Bout is my enemy, nigga, please. And let me tell you something this real quick. I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it because I was talking to my mother today and my mind continues to be blown that this is even the facts. It's so weird that this is some true shit. But when I worked for Russian media 10 years ago, about the time that Viktor Bout went down, Viktor Bout gave me a shout out. Viktor Bout said that he liked to listen to the Kim Brown show on the Voice of Russia radio. And to this day, I can't help but smile. And I don't know whether or not, why am I smiling? I'm partially freaked out about it. But on one hand, it's kind of like, man, dog, that's kind of cool. This person that every news network is calling the Merchant of Death said aloud on tape. And I have it somewhere on tape. I got to find it. It's somewhere, but I have witnesses, okay? I have multiple witnesses who can verify that I am telling the truth. Viktor Bout fucked with my show, my talk show on Russian radio when he was being held at Rikers before he got transferred to the Supermax out west. And that's wild. That's some wild shit. So big up Brittney Griner. Congratulations to Brittney, her wife Sherelle, her parents, her Phoenix Mercury teammates, everybody across the country, I hope, is happy to have Brittney home. I know there's a lot of fucking haters, but we don't give a fuck about them at all. Brittney Griner is home. Viktor Bout is home. I know they greeted Viktor with Russia's finest vodka. they had some of Russia's hottest sex workers. They had flew in a nice, probably, I can't even say a couple ounces of coke. What you think? How strong do you think Viktor Bout partied when he got back to Moscow? He didn't go to Tajikistan. Why would he do that? He didn't go back home to Tajikistan. Vladi was waiting for him in the Kremlin like, my nigga, what's up? Kak dela, shtoti dalesh, my man Big Vic, come through. So as somebody that is not dismayed by Viktor Bout, nor the shit that Viktor Bout has done, especially relative to what very recent and alive American presidents have done globally in to feed the arms race. Matter of fact, Joe Biden's a fucking arms dealer out here slinging all kinds of arms to Ukraine. So miss me with being offended that my man Viktor Bout is home, and he's home. So there is that. Wait, hold on. Before I even go further, I'm sorry, I lost my place a little bit here on my screen, but I did want to talk to you about the American Gulag, because the US Gulag is totally a thing. But you guys know that. We have a bunch of very conscientious folks, a lot of politically savvy and politically astute folks, and we care about our brothers and sisters behind the wall. We understand the kinds of conditions that they're facing. And let me give y'all just again the the most recent stories that, again, some of these came out today. And a story that has been ongoing regarding U.S. prisons has been the horrific conditions that people that are being held in New York's Rikers Island have been experiencing since the pandemic and beyond, truly, with over a dozen and a half or roughly 17, 18 people so far this year have died behind the wall in Rikers. Inmates continue to decry the conditions at Rikers, the overcrowding, the unsanitary conditions, the inedible food there, the amount of violence that correctional officers are allowed to let fester until they become very serious problems. And, people who are incarcerated at Nevada's Ely State Penitentiary are on a hunger strike right now, starting December 1st. So we are at the 9th. So they are about in day 8 of their hunger strike at Ely State Penitentiary. And what the incarcerated folks there say is that the conditions there are such that, number one, they're being served moldy food. They only get like a peanut butter sandwich and like a piece of moldy fruit. And then they get some other very low caloric or highly not nutritional something else for dinner. But then they're putting restrictions on the amount of food items that they can actually purchase with their own money. So at Ely State Penitentiary in Nevada, incarcerated folks there are only allowed to spend roughly about $50 a week, $100 bi-weekly on food, right? They can't buy any more, which is very strange. Pull up that article for, oh, you got it. Okay, the Ely State 100, they so much well. So I want to shout out an organization called Return Strong, that is a prisoners advocacy group based in Nevada that has been putting out information regarding this hunger strike that incarcerated folks there. And they want some of their demands include they want prison officials there to address due process interference and violations in the grievance process. They feel as though correctional officers and prison administrators are being too punitive and not responsive to abuses committed by some of their prison staff. They other demands include providing adequate and nutritious food, which incarcerated folks said they are not receiving. They want prison officials to address health and safety concerns in facilities and provide resolution to them. And they have a list of other demands. And so far, we are at about, give or take, 40 incarcerated folks that are participating in this hunger strike. And I just, guys, want you guys to understand it. And maybe you guys don't have to think too hard about it, but you know how fed up you have to be with a situation when you say, I'm not going to fucking eat no more? Like, I'm not going to eat anything until this is resolved. Now, according to some of the prison officials, they're saying that some incarcerated folks there are taking small meals and then resuming their hunger strike. But I want us to keep an eye on this, because what the organizers of this hunger strike say is that these conditions that they are experiencing at Ely State Penitentiary are present across the Nevada Department of Corrections, that these people are subjected to just inhumane conditions and they have very little redress. And they also talked about how during the pandemic, the conditions there got worse, that people found themselves in 23-hour lockdown. They found themselves spending extended time within solitary confinement for no good apparent health driven reason, right? And this is the case across the country. We have seen incarcerated people take up many actions, not just this year. Even from doing my research, I'm like, God damn, I was looking at 2019. It was like 2 or 3 different prison riots in Arizona alone. Like, the people who are on the inside have been telling us, they have been trying to tell us, sound the alarm, ring the bell about how inhumane it is. And it is always, again, funny to me. And again, I can't thank Jackie enough for bringing my vision into focus. Like, ooh, Debbie, come on. But no, I mean, just the audacity of Americans to talk about, oh my God, I wouldn't want to be locked up in Russia. Baby, you do not want to be locked up in America, okay? Locked up abroad, they need to take that and rename it Locked Up in America. And they need to start at Rikers and come back down to Parchment Prison in Mississippi and then go over to Alabama, where incarcerated folks there had organized a work stoppage. If you go on Burn It Down with Kim Brown 2 months ago, I covered that story here. We have it clipped out as a segment if you want to revisit it. But y'all, there's not much difference between the Russian penal colony and the US American penitentiary. Find the difference. What's the difference? Black people still working on plantations as a part of prison slave labor. What is the fucking difference? Do you think LGBTQ people are treated nicely in American jails? Especially in the men's prisons? You think our trans folks are safe in American jails? Nope, they sure aren't. So, as unsafe as Brittney was, Americans and people who find themselves within the American carceral system are also unsafe, likely more unsafe than Brittney Griner was. One more story about that. So let's go to Mississippi. Speaking of parchment, this piece, I'm not even sure if I was aware of this. So this is written in the Mississippi Free Press, and the headline is "The Gangs Run the Prison. Witness disputes official parchment death account." And who wrote this? Kayore Crown. Thank you so much. This was published this week, actually. So what this is about has to do with the Department of Justice, I believe, either doing a consent decree or filing a lawsuit against the Missouri Department of Corrections for violating the constitutional rights of incarcerated folks. And somebody should actually send this article to Chuck Todd, since Chuck Todd seems to think that, Brittney Griner was uniquely unsafe in the Russian Gulag. Maybe he should be made aware about the conditions at Parchman Prison. But with this witness disputes is the death number that is contained in a U.S. Department of Justice report that they filed specifically against Parchman Prison. So this inmate, or this formerly incarcerated person who has been released from his kidnapping sentence, now 61 years old, says that they witnessed a gang attack on 2 inmates in which the inmates were in effect beat to death. Okay. So what happened was the Department of Justice. So here's On November 7th, the Department of Justice spokesperson told the Mississippi Free Press in an email that the department is continuing to investigate conditions at 3 other prisons in Mississippi. Okay, that's not the paragraph I was looking for, but hold on. So the Department of Justice again has the Missouri Department of Corrections under consent decree, or they are investigating them for violating prisoners' constitutional rights. But what this formerly incarcerated person says that he witnessed these inmates be murdered at the hands of so-called gang members. But when he read the Department of Justice report that came out, what he noticed was that the deaths that he witnessed were not included in the total death count as reported in this DOJ document, which made the formerly incarcerated person just cast all sorts of doubts about the veracity and the accuracy of the report's findings at all. Why is either the Mississippi Department of Corrections covering up these deaths, or is the Department of Justice complicit in allowing MDOC to cover up these inmate deaths? Quite interesting. Quite interesting. But the takeaway is that at Parchman, the COs don't run it, the gangs run it. And I'm guessing in Russia, the gangs probably run the prisons there too, in some form or fashion. The American prison system is as inhumane and as decrepit of a relic as I would imagine the Russian prison system is. So please correct people when they talk about Brittney Griner being in the Gulag, okay? Depending on where you are in America, chances are there's a Gulag not too far from you, okay? America is full of gulags here with, by the way, as Jacqueline reminded us, the United States boasts the world's largest population of incarcerated people. More than Russia, more than China, more than Tajikistan, more than fucking Saudi Arabia, whatever. US lock up more people than anybody. We are housing more people in jails and penitentiaries than anywhere else in the world. Does that sound like the beacon of democracy to you? No, it sounds like the engine, one of capitalism's many engines to keep people locked down, to keep their bodies away, to keep families split up, to ruin people's lives, to subject them to violence and inhumanity. And that's what America specializes in. That and selling weapons of war, very much like Viktor Bout. It's funny how much America has in common with Russia and Viktor Bout. Must be why they hate him so much. They see themselves, America that is, sees itself in fucking Russia and in the actions of the merchant of death, Viktor Bout. If Viktor Bout is the merchant of death, baby, America is the factory. America is the means of production of death. Okay. Victor's just a salesperson. America fucking manufactures the shit. America manufactures it and ships it across the globe. Victor was doing just specialized deliveries. God damn. So anyway, remember our people that are locked down, y'all, and we want all of them to be free. So free them all. I'm glad Brittney's free. I'm glad Victor is free. Free them all. That nigga Paul Whelan, on the other hand, that motherfucker was spying. He might need to stay where he is. You know that I don't know if I want Paul to be free just yet, because I think Paul was spying. As soon as they said he was a former U.S. Marine, I said that nigga was over there spying. He need to keep him over there. He did that shit. Brittney wasn't fucking trafficking hashish, goddammit. But anyway, I digress. So hold up, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Please.